This is Take Two.
You've been on the big shows, but I feel like they always ask you the same shit about like tattoos and all that.
Yeah, I've been trying to steer
always
away
the
from
same.
that, like, because I did so much of that over the years.
When was that? When did you actually get like your little, not peak, but like tattoo identity, personality?
Kind of, I suppose, like around 2010.
Wow.
Yeah, onwards, and then like it kind of really escalated then in about 2015. I kind of became like the unofficial tattoo spokesperson.
You did, but like, did you do anything to become that, or was it just the rise of social media? Your face was tattooed, like talk.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I suppose. I mean, it was marketing myself and my business. You know, I owned tattoo shops and piercing and stuff like that, and that was my life. And then I was doing like, cringe to say, but kind of like alternative modeling stuff.
What's that?
It's just like modeling, but like, you know, obviously because of the
Yeah, you
alternative
were on the
look,
tattoo
you know,
magazines.
so I was with an agency in London, and so it was all kind of promotion through that, and then I would use one thing to promote the other, and that's when all these companies started reaching out.
Did it help you out actually in that like time? Dare I say? Look, it's
Yeah,
nearly
it
a
did.
decade
Yeah,
over.
definitely. Like drove loads of traffic to my businesses, and just, you know, raised the profile a little bit, which led into, you know, me getting back into the acting, and you know, I started doing music videos and stuff like that. So it's kind of just promoted everything. And then I have always drummed in bands, so if I was doing something with my band, I would use it to promote my shop and tattoos, and so it was just kind of like a big circle of just building for years.
So basically, would you say tattoo your face and like you're marketable?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, or unmarketable.
Like it's like you're unmarketable, but then like you niched yourself down nearly.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, a little bit. And then I started saying no to a lot of these interviews that were primarily about tattoos, because it became a negative connotation, you know, like a shock value to it, and they wanted to raise their numbers by making you out to be
Let's talk
something
about
that
that.
you weren't, you know, and there was a hidden agenda behind them, or they would tell you one thing, oh yeah, it's going to be about this, and you know, it's all positive, and then you get on the show and you're live on the show and they start trying to get a rise out of you or saying derogatory things, and you know, so that's why I just I started saying no to a lot of them, you know.
Fair enough. Weirdly enough, like obviously the first thing, like if people know you, the first thing that popped up in my mind was that Kate Hopkins interview.
Yeah.
Now, I also watched you, or like you also then explained that she gave you a heads up beforehand. Don't know, like, was that true? Like, did she tell you, like, I get paid to be a bitch, basically?
Yeah, basically, yeah. She said that after the interview, actually, but before it, she was like, you know, she was lifting up my shirt. She was like, "Oh my God, I love your
Yeah, she
tattoos."
did say
And,
that.
you know, yeah, like, and she was like, oh, and she was talking about, she's best friends with Georgie Best, the footballer's son, who's covered in tattoos, and his tattoos are amazing. And then just before we went out, yeah, she did say, she said, "Don't mind me, I get paid to be a bitch." She did say that before we went out.
At least fair play, like.
Yeah, and then afterwards, you know, there was big hugs, and
Yeah.
you know, she was laughing, and she was like, "Oh, you bastard, you called me out in the earrings and all this kind of stuff." And so she, on a face value, you know, she was fine. And as she says, she just like thought up stuff that would rile people up and get a reaction. That's what she gets paid for, you know. That was her whole agenda.
Oh my God. Because it's so interesting, right? Like I've been, like a common theme that I've been bringing up on this podcast is the sensationalism and like the dishonesty. Obviously now, like, I feel like everyone nearly has accepted and admitted that television is not where you're going to go seek truth, dare I say.
Yeah.
But it's also transitioning to social media where it's nearly a poison, right? Where like certain things are, not even certain things, but so many things are so fake or so dramatized. And I've been having a recent issue with like clips where someone takes a quote and like it goes overboard out of like
Out of context.
out of context, and not just out of context, but like people, I feel like before they would tune in to the segment, like the 10-minute interview, you and Katie Hopkins. I'm just using her as an example, right? But now it's just like they're taking that 30 seconds and running with it as if it were just a title. And I am like, I've just been newly exposed to the dishonesty in that, if that makes sense, where it has gotten slightly overwhelming, where I'm not saying I had the same reaction as you, but I can feel that like repulsion. I don't know if that's a word, but I'm just like, no, I don't want to clip that. I don't want to do that, because it's gonna, I can't defend myself, I can't defend the guest, and it's gonna do nothing. Literally, like, nothing positive is gonna come out of it. What was it like for you when you started? Maybe even take me to the first time where you're like, listen, this television producer made it out to be a really big deal, when in reality I'm getting fucked over. I'm getting like stabbed on live television.
Yeah, well, there was one program in particular, fuck it, I'll just say the name, called Body Shockers, that was on Channel 4, and they were pestering me, I mean hounding me to go on season 1 of it, but a lot of red flags from the conversations I had, because it was body shockers and they were talking about the shocking things people do to their bodies, and it was definitely negative, like in my mind. But anyway, I turned that down, and then same thing for season 2, they were handing me, and then season 3. And season 3, I remember the conversations, and I said the reason for it. I said, look, I've seen your show, and it's exactly the image that we don't want to bring, that you're pointing and laughing at people for being different, basically, you know. It's like, oh my god, it's so shocking. And they were like, no, season 3 is completely different, we're going at a different angle, we're actually showing like the benefits and the health benefits and the mental and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah. And there must have been, I don't know, over 30 phone calls, like, you know, like hounding. And then season 3 came out, and it was the exact same as season 1 and season 2. So just, this is what they do. They will feed you, and they will, you know, lie to you. And even with the Katie Hopkins thing, I'd already agreed to go on the show to speak about the general topic of tattoos, and then they rang me back and they were like, look, just to give you a heads up, like, Katie Hopkins has agreed to come on the show, are you okay with that? And I was like, who the hell is Katie Hopkins? Like, I didn't know who the hell she was. I had to go Google her, and I was like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. But you're right about, you know, the clips and the reels and the shock tactics, and it's marketing 101, where they're taking sensationalized clip to get clicks, you know, to market it in the clicks, and they don't. Now, obviously, you were speaking from having a conscience, which is great, but a lot of these people don't. So they're just using them to get ahead, and they don't really care the consequences for that. I mean, that Katie Hopkins video brings the most amount of hate into my life, even now, from 2015. I had like 3 death threats from them videos. I had like them. Now, I don't read comments anymore on any social media, which is a good thing for my mental health, because it's just, you know, you can't, which is unfortunate though, because you don't get to see any of the positive stuff.
And also, Katie wasn't that bad. Like, she's said so much worse.
Yeah, but it was an attack on me, you know. It was basically like
she was saying like you're unemployable and all that.
Yeah, but, you know, all the trolls then, or your family should be ashamed of yourself, and like fucking, you know, all this kind of hate. And then like one of the death threats, they sent me a pin drop to my home address, you know, and it started getting really, really heavy, and but yeah, that video in particular just still kind of follows me around, and like a lot of trolls and hates and stuff like that. Yeah. So.
Would you say though that, like, do you think that it deserves that place in television, like that negativity, or even on social media, this sensationalism, these clips, and the virality? Like, I'm not saying like from a world perspective are we better off, but like naturally I feel like people are just so polarized that even if we create a new medium, it probably won't be successful without that polarization. It's
almost like, you know, it's gone too far and this is the norm now. And it's putting so much pressure on people to live up to the standards which aren't real or aren't true, you know, and anybody can make their life look great. And for the most part, anybody on social media accentuates the good parts of their life. They're not going to show you the crap parts. They're going to show you the good parts. And then, you know, young impressionable people especially are looking at it and being like, well, why is my life like that? And you know, but it's not the truth. But like, I mean, yeah, social media, because it's so to hand, but this has been done in the media for
Ages.
you know, ages. So it's just that it's readily available. And like you said, now, because the attention span of people is literally 10 seconds, they're using that 10 seconds to get the clickbait or ahead, you know.
Because like I've seen it from a strategic point of view, right? A clip can go absolutely viral now, 500,000 views.
Yeah.
It's barely increasing the podcast itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's as if the engagement is staying on the platform now. It's not even increasing or like having people move along to somewhere else, which, if we were to go back like 5 years ago, was something similar to like articles on Facebook. People read the title, comment, and move on.
Yeah, that's very true. And
Yeah.
like you said, staying on the platform, because I've had a video go viral 100 million.
Wow.
And I was thinking my social media will be 100 million and all that, but it was going up on all these other platforms. At the start, the video started on mine, and then it was reshared, and I was being tagged, and I was getting, loads of followers, and I was like, this is great. And as it went on and on and on and on, all of a sudden, all these companies are sharing it and not tagging me and blocking me on some of them as well, so like I don't sue them. And I've had a few different ones go viral like that, but it is very true that it's these companies that are marketing that, and they know how much they can raise their own profile, and then you kind of get left behind,
And would I say that, because I know you mentioned that you pointed it out at me of like having a consciousness, right? But do you think that strategy or being somewhat stubborn in, you know what, I'm going to do this ethically, is it going to benefit like a creator or a media spokesperson in just like, I'm not going to play the game or the dirty game that someone is playing? Like, will they be successful in 10 years' time?
See, like, well, I mean, for me, just in general in life, it's like, can you go to sleep at night with a clear conscience? It's like, it's a dog eat dog world. There are marketing people and business people that will chew you up and spit you out. And that's their agenda, and I know a lot of them. It's rife in the film industry, as you know. But for me, there's always two ways of doing things.
Okay.
And it's like, we have a very short life on this planet, and it's like, how do you want to be perceived in the bigger terms of your personality and what you brought to the world? If it's all about money and, climbing to the top and kicking people back down on the way down, then that's not for me. There is some people that will, and they will probably be very successful, but at the end of the day, is that the kind of life you live? Not for me anyway.
That's it. Because the topic of Katie, like as a person, like I've heard a lot of people actually say that she is nice behind the camera and all that, and even you just said that there. And it's like, I'm not saying it makes me sad, like it doesn't emotionally impact me. It's her life, right? But it's like, the fact that someone makes a decision to be an asshole on camera, it's like, obviously people are perceiving you this way, and you can't expect people to be nuanced enough to like allow you that room. Not even how are you sleeping at night, but are you not scared of what's going to happen, of how people think of you? Like, people are probably spitting on her when they see her.
Yeah.
But in the latter, people are sending death threats on her behalf as if she wants that.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think she is playing some form of character,
Exactly.
I really don't think.
And a lot of people are, it's not just her again.
That's her personality. And I mean, she has a lot of lovers and followers, because they love the stuff that you shouldn't say, taboo or whatever. But I mean, her life, as far as I know, I mean, she lost her job as a journalist. She moved to Spain. She filed for bankruptcy. So
it catches up with you.
It catches up with you. Whether you want to call it karma or whatever it is. But I think that she got so far into the character and the shock tactics, and she was getting such a reputation that she got in so far that she just kind of let it go and build and build and build. And then you think, the consequences for her family and stuff like that. Was she being selfish, or is it a career move? But we can only speculate.
And it's probably the same people that encouraged her behind the scenes to be that way.
Yeah.
Were the ones that were like, oh, it's not politically correct anymore to say that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
saws, like, fuck off politely, you know, like, please and thank you. You did your part. Now enjoy.
Definitely. And that's, you know, this is getting back to that. Do you think that marketing team behind her are still interested in her? They would have just dropped her and moved on to the next thing, you know? So, yeah, it's kind of a catch-22 when you get into that world.
Oh, that's a fucking tough one, man. Like, it's such a commitment. Like, and that's another thing that I wanted to talk to you about when, like, back 15 years ago, or when you started these, like, interviews, you were introducing yourself as so many things, which is so exciting. And like, right now, there seems to be a little bit of, like, two roads that are presented to us. It's like you're either going to be a master of one or a jack of all trades. Master of one, if you get really good at something, and ideally it's a service that helps rich people, you're fucking good. You're set for life. And then the jack of all trades is with technology and all that comes around. Like, the more skills you have, the more identities you have, the better off you are. Now, 10, 15 years ago, you were saying, I'm a tattoo artist, I'm a piercer, I'm a personal trainer. Like, Jesus, man, like, you were so many things.
Yeah, but like, jack of all trades, master of none, you know.
But
like,
did that fuck you over at that time or no?
I'm jealous of people who have one thing, you know. And if you look at, like, really successful, there's obviously a few exceptions, but if you look at someone that's really, really successful, like Michael Jordan, basketball, basketball,
Yeah, niche.
you know, it's like they have an obsession, they have a singular mind, and they become amazing at it. My problem, I definitely feel later on in my life that I had undiagnosed ADHD, because my mind is just like everywhere, and I get bored so easy, and I have to be creative. And I was always like, so I was a nightmare in school, like, you know, because I was always just, my mind was just so creative, you know. And so I do hop around, you know, a lot of mediums and stuff like that. And now that I've kind of come to terms with that and realized that, I do sit myself down and I kind of say, right, Baz, we're fucking working on this today. You know, forget about this. It doesn't always work because it's just the way my mind is. But if I'm interested in something, oh my God, I am locked into it. If I am anyway not interested or bored, I am gone. I'm daydreaming. I'm like out of the room, you know, so yeah.
And would you take, now this is a question kind of like for me, but in that moment in time, if something wasn't working out for you that you thought you really wanted to do, let's keep it simple, personal trainer, I'm going to be amazing. And then you started that and you're like, fuck me, man, this is boring as shit.
That's what happened,
you know?
actually. Yeah.
Did you like, as in the personal trainer, like, job itself, it's like everyone wants to be one. And it's like, mate, all you have to do is fucking work at Fly Fit and you're going to get paid. Sweet, fuck all.
Yeah.
Do a cycling class though. Anyways, so would you like beat yourself up afterwards? Were you the type that would like dwell on, here goes another passion of mine that turns out is not a passion, like I was wrong?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in no shape or form egotistical, even though a lot of people from the perception of my social media might say I am. I'm not at all. But I am a perfectionist in a lot of things, you know. So if I commit my time to something, I see it through and I want to be the best at, like, you know, just being medium at something for me. I have to go all in. So yeah, with the personal training thing, like the reason that came about basically was, you know, I was teaching jiu-jitsu, you know, I was training like 6 nights a week of jiu-jitsu. I was on the European team and I was teaching in 3 clubs, and I was known as being the killer for the cardio sessions and the warm-ups and all that. So that's where it just kind of transpired then into the fitness world, and I went and I did it for 2 years, got my qualifications. But like I said, working in a gym, because I was going from having respect in a dojo and everybody fucking did what you said, because that's, you know, the martial arts world, to going into a gym and people coming back to you 3 months later being like, I haven't lost any weight. It's like, yeah, you've been here once, mate. You know, like,
but can I go on steroids, please?
yeah. So it just frustrated me and I was bored, and yeah, so I moved away from that. But I have done a lot of things which feeds into my movie making and stuff like that, because even as a director I would take a lot of my teaching from martial arts into directing, and so life experience is great in this industry, but film and acting and all that is my main goal now, and it might have taken me a while to get there to realize it, but that is first and foremost now. So.
And in that point in time, right, before you identified that filming and acting is going to be your thing, were you in a rush, dare I say, or were you at a little bit, like, were you not even desperate, but a bit scared, like, why have I not figured this out yet?
No, not really. Because I never really made like a definitive decision, and with the whole acting thing, like I did theatre when I was a kid, but like I grew up in a town that if they found out you were doing theatre, you get your head kicked in. So I kept it hidden, and then the music came along, and I was drumming for loads of bands, and then like I said, it got into the modelling side of it, which I never pursued that. Because like I'm really shy and quiet, and my first few times in front of the camera, I was like a rabbit in the headlights. It was like terrifying. And then I kind of developed a persona to get used to that. And through that, then I started getting asked to do music videos, and then eventually like short films. So I kind of found my love of the acting then. But like I love movies so much, like from when I was a little kid, like absolutely that's my escape. And me with ADHD as a kid, the only thing that shut me up was watching a movie, and I would be fixated on it. But the thoughts of me ever being like able to like get an acting job or make a movie was just absolutely not in the realms of my thoughts at all. So it kind of happened organically, and then when it did happen, I wasn't in a rush. I was just grateful for anything that I was getting to do, because I loved it so much.
And would that moment in time have come after you were saying no to certain television opportunities, if we were to like line it out a little bit?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Interesting.
Because I felt like I was kind of spiting myself by saying no to these things, because it was such a great marketing tool, and my friends and stuff were like, "Are you crazy? Like, why wouldn't you do it?" But I just felt like just wrong after doing it, and like I said, I kind of became the unofficial spokesperson for tattoos, and I was always about positivity and changing mindsets and stuff like that. And then I just felt like I'd kind of said everything that I needed to say. I was just repeating myself. And I was trying to have conversations with somebody that you're never going to change their mind. And I was getting in a defensive position, and I didn't want to have to justify myself all the time. That's what I felt. That's what I feel like I have to do in my life every day. I have to justify myself. And it's 20 minutes before you get to my real personality, because we have to go through all the tattoo bullshit, and I know
literally,
that.
Like every single interview you did was, did you regret it? Like, when was your first tattoo? It's like they have all the questions. Now, let's give a little bit of empathy to them. It's not every day that you're going to walk across or like shake hands with someone that's fully tatted. For people that's listening, shocker, he's tatted. But anyways, but it's so, I think it's the protection of that identity where it's like, I don't need to explain myself to you. Like, now this is going to sound so petty, but when I first moved to Ireland, it's like I hated people asking me where I came from, because it's not like a common country. I'm from Malta. So then they're like, Malta, where's that? What language do you speak? How many people are there? How small is it? Where is it? Like, I didn't know it existed, all of them. And I was just like, fuck off.
Get past it.
Move along. My name, like, do you want to know that? Do you know what I mean?
I'm actually filming in Malta later on in the year.
Are you? Go on. Lots of cranes over there.
Lots of cranes.
I'll give you.
That's a good fact.
I'll give you all the good spots. Make sure that you're driving around though.
Cool.
Okay. It's going to be feckin' hot. When are you going?
I'll die.
When are you going?
October.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Usually it's like July, August time is where you go like, ooh. Our summer holidays were in Liverpool.
Oh.
Literally. So it's like we never went to another hot country after that.
Yeah.
But besides like the tattoo stuff and all that kind of things, it's like, obviously, I'm not saying you boxed yourself in, but you did have to come to a point where you decided like, all right, this is who I'm gonna be. Do they usually say that you're going to going to have to explain yourself? No. But with that, you obviously committed to your identity and yourself in a way that usually a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting. Like, were you always just like, I'm like this is me, like, fuck you, Jack? That's so cool.
And it's not like a pretentious thing and all that. From when I was a kid,
you were just like,
I don't know whether it's just because I'm in my own world and just, I don't know, it's just like the herd mentality, like the sheep mentality. Like for me, I struggle to understand it, but I understand that that's society and, you know, you go with the norm and all that. But for me, like, that's my worst nightmare. But on the flip side of that, and I've said this in a lot of interviews and it sounds so cringy and cliche and all that, but like, I was an absolute like rebel in my teenage years. I was in so much fucking trouble. Constantly in fights, and it was all through frustration of not being able to express myself in some shape or form. And then the tattoos was like, I never sought permission, I never told anybody, but I never set out to be like, I'm gonna be fucking heavily tattooed. I was just really kind of the mindset, I just do what I want. But to this day, I never did it to seek other people's approval or their opinions, or, you know, and people love to give it to you.
They love
it. I hate the attention it brings, which is completely contradicting to it. Like, I fucking hate it.
Yeah, you spoke about that a lot of times.
I really do. Like, I hate walking into a restaurant and everyone looking. I hate making my family feel awkward if people are staring. And I completely understand it's a natural reaction. And I completely understand that people want to ask about it and they want to talk about it in interviews and stuff like that. I understand that, but for me, it's like it doesn't define my personality, you know.
Yeah, I had a friend that was also talking about their wardrobe. They dress differently. Let's put it that way. More colorful, lots of makeup. It's lovely. It's beautiful, and they were also saying that although they dress like that, the moment that they leave the house, they're nervous. You know, like they don't like the stares, like lads making fun of them and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't pester them, but I was like, okay, let's dive into it. And the way they best explained it is that the moment that they dress normally, like a pair of jeans and a t-shirt, they don't feel cool. Like they don't feel like
themselves.
It's themselves, which is probably similar to if I were to dress like them, that's the discomfort that I would feel.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that like that's the best way that probably like you also mentioned that there was a point in time where like a friend of yours put makeup on you. And the moment that you looked at yourself in the mirror, you're like, fuck no, like get this off of me. Which
was reassuring because like if it had been the other reaction, I would have been like, oh fuck,
that would have been a fucking bill and a half for you.
But it was so weird. It was so weird. It was like a stranger looking back at me because, you know, the number one question people say, oh, what about when you're 70 and, you know, regrets and all that kind of crap. And I would always say, you know, live for today. You could be hit by a bus tomorrow. Do whatever makes you happy. But at the back of your mind, you do say, what would my life be like if it wasn't, if I didn't look
really
like
cool
this,
granny.
you know?
Granny, like,
that's an answer I give. But just to see the makeup cover the tattoos and to have that reaction that no, actually, I don't like it. And yes, it does make my life difficult in a lot of areas, and I have to deal with life differently. And again, such a contradiction because like I have like really bad social anxiety. I have really bad anxiety in general. So looking like this, going out with somebody that has social
that's
anxiety,
super
you know?
cool though. It's like it's an even better talking point because it's nearly just like, yeah, this is me, you know? And I think it would be lovely if all of us take a page out of your book and like have a little bit of balls and do whatever the fuck we want to do when it comes to ourselves. I think that's the issue. It's like a lot of people tend to like project their insecurities nearly. Yeah. So it's like, oh, why are you dressed like that? Mate, why are you not dressed like that, for instance? Or why are you dressed like that?
Yeah, definitely. And like, you know, it reverts back to, you know, on your deathbed. Let's be dramatic. But like, you know, you look back and those people that you were trying to appease by not being yourself that are going to walk by in the street and maybe say something to you, and you aren't dyeing your hair green, even though you fucking really want to dye your hair green. But what would people say? What would they say? What would they say? Like, if you're living your life like that, how sad. Like, as a society, as humans, we judge aesthetically. It's in our nature. It's our defense mechanism. That's what we do, you know? So you're going to be judged by people aesthetically. But to live suppressed like that, and that, you know, can be many factors to do with your sexuality or whatever it is. But to live your life like that in fear of judgment of strangers, think about how ridiculous that is. To live your life in fear of what fucking strangers think of you. Who cares what strangers think of you? You're never going to see them again. You know, it's like, when you think of it in those terms, it is absurd. But the practicality is that if you do something like that, or you're heavily tattooed like that, you have to put up with strangers and abuse and people looking at you and trolls. And, you know, this is the society that we unfortunately live in. So you have to weigh up your happiness. But just, I would always say to people, don't live your life like that. You get one little short life and you're not fulfilling it, you know. And like I have a friend of mine I worked with, and he was 46, married with 3 children before he came out as gay, because he was terrified of it. And he was like, I've wasted like 20 years of my life not being who I am. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's sad. And some people never get past that. So I would say it takes a bit of courage, but be whoever makes you happy is.
I think it's the first leap, and then slowly it gets slightly easier. And I think probably even for you, like, the longer it went on that these tattoos were like properly in there, you know, like they weren't fresh anymore. It's just like, this is who I am, like, this is my skin, you know. And you feel slightly more confident because you get more confident in yourself, because now you don't have anything to hide or to project. When, like, this is going to be a very interesting but very niche question. Did you always live in Ireland, or did you ever move?
I moved to California when I was 19.
Okay, so quite young. Because I heard, like, sometimes when I bump into like 30 or 40-year-olds that are Irish, that are based in London or something, strangely enough, even in Dublin, they say that like they were like punk rockers when they were younger, and they couldn't deal, like they got so angry and super pissed off at like people making fun of them as they walked along the road, that they were like, you know what, fuck this country, I'm out, I'm leaving, I'm moving to London.
Moved to Camden,
Camden. Yeah, it's always the same thing. Like, for you, I'm guessing you weren't that punk rock at that time, you know, to move to California.
I was,
Oh, did you?
I was.
You were already early on with like.
Early on, I was always a punk kid.
Wow.
I mean, I grew up. My cousin was always in bands, and I that's where I learned to drum. I've been drumming since I was 5. I was just like always a punk rock kid, and. You know, today, and even you were like, oh, you're in a tracksuit. If 15-year-old me saw me now in a tracksuit, they'd be like, what the fuck? Because, no, I always dressed like a punk. I always had my hair dyed bright colours. And it was kind of, you know, a juxtaposition as regards, like I said, I was always in fights and I could always handle myself. I've been doing martial arts since I was a kid and all that side of it. But at the same time, I was this punk rocker, you know, so that would lead to me getting into so many fights because I would never put up with that shit, you know. So
I just imagine you like headlocking a bunch of people in a mosh pit, just like, don't fucking try it, mate.
I was a bit fucking mad. My nickname growing up was Psycho, like, because I was just love like that. I was nuts. So I've calmed down a lot.
So angry.
But I was always a punk rock kid, and it was the same. You know, you would get a lot of shit for you know, dressing like that and looking like that. And I know loads of people who moved to London as well. But yeah, I moved to California and then I moved to London. I lived in Amsterdam for a while and then eventually came back to Dublin, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, that's cool. Also, I have no idea how the fuck we got here. But I remember that I asked you about the fact that your filming and acting job came after you started saying no. And that's something that I've like reflected on a little bit when it came to like my career, is that I felt the saddest when I was saying yes to jobs and opportunities out of sheer desperation.
Yeah.
And it was just like the desperation of like, oh, maybe this will be the next thing, this will be the next thing, or this will put me there, right? And I'm sure you can relate, but as a creative person where there are certain opportunities that you do have to kind of not even wait around, you do have to take action, but it does depend a lot on like what the fucking higher ups like have to say, you know?
Yeah.
Unless you want to go a completely different route. But you started saying no, then this opportunity comes along for you to start acting and filming, and you get your passion, right? And then you go, all right, we're going to do this filmmaker thing. We're going to do this like acting gig. Did you expect the independent creative route to be as complex as you thought it would be?
Yeah, I did, because I know a lot of independent filmmakers, and because I'm obsessed with it, I would deep dive on so many YouTube videos and all the research, and listening to interviews with even directors who are famous directors now, the struggle of how they started and stuff like that. But I mean, it's nowhere near as unachievable as, say, the Hollywood days, where it was literally just either you make a movie in Hollywood or you just don't make a movie, Now it has changed so much that cameras and social media is so accessible that pretty much anybody can go and make a film to a certain extent,
Yeah.
But you can. Whereas back in the day, it was Hollywood cinema. That was it, So, but yeah, I did know how tough it would be, especially getting into making the feature film. Like, so, I'd done shorts before and I'd been in the industry a long time. Like, I was under no illusion how difficult it is. And I've seen so many people broken by it. But just getting back to your point there on as an artist and feeling unfulfilled, like last year I kind of went back on my artistic integrity, I suppose you would call it, because we'd come out of COVID and lockdown and there was fuck all going on, and I kind of say, not out of desperation, but a form of desperation, whereas I wanted to be back on set and I just wanted to be doing it, and I said yes to projects that I would have previously have said no, because I would just had a good idea that it wasn't really the right fit or whatever. And I regretted it. I did, like, and I don't regret much, but there's a few things that I did and I was like, I shouldn't have done it. And then, I'll probably get cancelled for this, but even I started saying no to certain commercial auditions, even though commercials are where the money is and I'm in no shape or form in a position to say no. But at the same time, I was doing them, and you'd be doing a self-tape at home and they'd be asking you to do all this zany stuff, and afterwards I felt dirty. I felt like it was like, dance monkey dance, you fucking dance for us and we'll see if we like you enough. And for me as an artist or as a human being, I actually felt like afterwards I would actually feel like what was that, and I had to put my foot down and start saying no to these things if I wasn't comfortable with them, because it's not me, and I know as an actor you're not you and all this kind of stuff. But just on your point of that, it is true that you can get to a point. But this year I've kind of been like a bit stricter again,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did that hurt you, like saying no to that sort of stuff? Because like it's so true. Like I've seen these auditions before, and I've seen all of that. If you're not getting fucking Leonardo DiCaprio big bucks, right? And even sometimes with that sort of stuff, it's like you're being told to do such weird shit and promote stuff that you wouldn't promote. You obviously are more recognizable. It's not like me doing an ad, right, for Dove. They're going to be like, ooh, cool brunette, move along. It's, how do I explain it? Like, did you have to go, all right, we're going to have to like pull back on money this year, this month? Or were you okay, like, in that regard? Does the acting just fuel you, like, from a passion perspective?
Yeah, and again, like, it sounds so poncy, but it's like there's a lot to be said for artistic integrity. And then, because you're doing these things and you're like, okay, why am I doing this? I'm doing it for the money.
Okay.
And it's then like, well, no, I'm not doing this for the fucking money. Like, and I'm not. I'm doing this because this is me. This is my passion. I love it. And I'm not just saying that. And obviously the money is great. Everybody needs to make money.
Fact.
But I have other means of making money in the meantime. So if I'm dancing around my room pretending to be an alien from another planet and talking to imaginary people and teaching them how to dance, which is, you know, one of the sides.
Something?
It's one of the things I said no to. It's like, I'm 40. I'm almost 40. I don't need to be doing that shit, you know, for a couple of grand. It's just like, so.
An alien teaching people how to dance.
Yeah, you're a visiting alien and you want to show the people of Ireland how your people dance, and I was just like, no man, no, I'm 40, I'm not doing that.
For fuck's sake.
So like, that's just, you know, an example, and it's not like I'm saying no to all these things, but at the same time, because I'd done like 2 or 3 in a row, not the same as that, but like, you know, stupid stuff, and I was like, oh, no, you just, but there is power in no.
Yes.
And sometimes no's open up so many opportunities that you wouldn't have had with a yes, you know, and it's easy to say that because you're like, oh yeah, I said no to that because there's power in it. But there is power in no, and people can respect you for saying no, and you know, and the likes of, again, I'm not, you know, I've just ostracized myself from any commercial work I was going to get. But like, you know, a lot of the time it's businessmen in suits, and they're sitting around a table and they have no artistic. They are primarily, you know, an analytical business brain. They're not in the artist world. And you're like, do you know, it'd be great. You know, and it's like, you know what I mean? And they think that this is going to be amazing. And you know, as an artist, this is going to be shit. And my face is going to be attached
like
to this.
Literally,
you know?
your face is going to be. And it will follow you,
Oh, it never goes away. Like, it never
completely.
goes away.
I remember when Shang-Chi came out, and then they brought, like, some people found stock photos of the main actor, put it up on Twitter, millions, just like, this you, man. And like, there he is, just like a hungry actor smiling in stock photos, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
You know, like, it follows you. Also, I am so curious about you being an alien teaching people how to dance.
I should have went
like,
for it.
What the fuck is that? No, that would be gas though.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
No.
But something interesting that you said about like power in saying no, I think that's really true, because there was a point in time when I was saying yes to everything, I was increasing my chances every time of being fucked over time and time again. Because then I looked easy.
Yeah.
Nearly.
Yeah.
As in, not even like easy to manipulate, but it's like, oh, Debbie says yes to everything. Debbie does it for cheap as well, you know, like she's desperate. And then it fucked me over as well. This is just like learning and experience. So like, I'm not beating myself up over it. But then I would burst. I'd be like, no, I'm not doing that. And it's a harsh no. And I was burning bridges like no other, man. I had that fucking Tesla flame, just like, fuck you, fuck this, fuck everyone, which screwed me over. But it didn't, in a way, because I was getting rid of the people that didn't like exactly, they weren't serving me. They were just like paying very little. But that power in saying no is just so good, and it's such like a balance, because you don't want to be difficult either. That's true, and it's kind of, it is a scary thing as well. And you know, obviously you love what you do. I love what I do, and I desperately want to do it, but if you know that it's not for the right reasons, you know that it's the decision has to be made to say no. Like I have an actor friend of mine, lovely guy, and literally says yes to everything, and is like just in everything. And like you said, it's just become sure, they'll do it for free. Sure, we'll just ring them. We say hop and they say how high, you know. It becomes a thing about, like you said, respect. And it's look, it goes back to the whole dating, you know. If you're dating somebody, it's like nobody likes anybody who's too needy, you know. It's off-putting. So, and they say that about walking into an audition. If they sense that you fucking need this job, it's the most off-putting thing. It's in general, it's an off-putting factor in humans. You know, if somebody's really needy and clingy, well, for me it is. I'm like, get the fuck away from me. Someone listening to this is like, fucking what the fuck are you on about, mate?
Yeah.
I need attention.
Give it to me. No, but just, you know, in that, so if, and it is a balancing act, and it's not like an ego play or anything like that, but if you genuinely feel like it's not a good thing, and you say no, and that in the long run it'll be better for you and your career.
Yeah. Random, but would you be able to try and define like what a gut feeling is for you? I've been trying to like define it myself, and I've been struggling a lot. The closest I got to defining gut feeling for me is when I'm in the shower and like the intuition of just like washing my body, like that gut feeling is sort of like it, where it's like, am I okay with doing this naturally? Am I naturally inclined?
Yeah.
Don't know about you.
Yeah. All my best ideas come to me in the shower, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm just like, but yeah, it's like I'll have a feeling, and it's actually for me like it's like a physical feeling in my stomach. Like when I think about it and I know it's not right, I'll get that like wave of nausea.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I know it's not right, and then I start having an internal dialogue of the pros and the cons, and and then sometimes if you're in a position where you feel like it's not right but you should do it because of this, then you're not in the right place. It's like trepidation. But yeah, for me it'd be kind of like a physical feeling that I know it's not right, and I have become better at approaching it, and being honest and just saying no, and I'm not bullshitting people as well, because you'll always get found out.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Like in fairness, I not to toot my own horn, but like the Mediterranean side of things does help me out with the bullshit tolerance. Like I can't lie to fucking save myself. Like,
Okay, yeah.
that's why I'm a bad salesperson too. I'm just like, can't do it, mate.
Yeah.
But it is like you are right that like nausea, or then the moment that if you did say yes and something starts going wrong, like you feel drained, like it just like pulls it out of you. And something that I also really struggled with, that I know that some people do as well, is they wake up in the morning, like it's super easy to just like, okay, work needs me, someone needs me, I'm up, I'm doing it. But then the things that I want to do for myself get pushed aside, And it's like, fuck me, man, where was all that discipline when I wanted to do something? You know? Don't know if you can relate to that.
Yeah, no, like it swings both ways, and yeah, I think like, again, getting back to, society and how it molds you, of what needs to be done. And then if you just step back and just look at the bigger picture, that we are, a piece of rock hurtling through space.
Yeah, meat suits.
Like just how ridiculous it all is, And sometimes I actually visually, I know it sounds trippy, but like I will picture myself like looking down on Earth in space, and just it rolling around, and just like, because we get caught up in so many emotions, and we as humans we go through so much shit and pain and heartache, and it's kind of become conditioned that is the way you are as a humans, whether it's controlled through governments or society or whatever you want to call it. But sometimes if you can just step back and look about what I need, or what's going to make my life happy, or why am I putting myself through this misery when it's so easily fixed, and some people are so afraid then to make a change, and they never do, and they remain miserable. But at the end of the day, you've survived this long, you're gonna survive. Money always finds a way. People are so obsessed and worried about money. How did you get to the age you're at? And you're okay, like you're gonna be okay, and it's scary. And so that's the way I look at life. If something comes along, it doesn't feel right, or I'm committed to something and it's not doing it for me, as crazy as it may. Like when I closed my last tattoo and piercing shop, like people literally told me that I was crazy. I was like, how? Like it was a gold mine. There was queues out the door every day. It was one of the busiest shops in Ireland. I'd built a brand up so big, and me with my piercing, I was doing stuff that nobody else was doing, all this kind of stuff. But on the flip side, none of them saw that I was on the verge of a mental breakdown. None of them saw that I was miserable because I was having to say no to doing acting jobs and the stuff that my passion had organically grown to that was my priority. Nobody knew that I would like nearly be getting sick with the anxiety in the morning from the stress of owning the shop, and all they saw was like, you're fucking crazy, you know. I was burnt out. Like, even when I closed the shop, it took me about 6 months like just to recover from it. But I made that decision and that change, and it was the scariest thing because it was such a source of income. It was a safety blanket, and it was, you know, I'd built it up, and I let it go, and it was the best thing. It was the best thing I ever did. And I did question myself for those 3 or 4 months. I was like, what the fuck did I do? Like, why did I close it? Because I was feeling a little bit better then, you know, I'd had a bit of respite, and I was like, did I do the right thing? But I swear to God, like, it was the best thing I ever did. I don't make as much money. Yeah. But I'm fucking 20 times happier than I was. So that's the payoff. Yeah.
That's it. It's like, I think a lot of us tend to make these decisions the moment that our back is against the wall. Yeah. Like we place ourselves sometimes in that position, right? It's like the moment that you come, not even to terms, but the moment that you realize that like, oi, I am deciding to like keep that shop open. I am deciding to walk my ass to this, right? And again, completely, people need money, like the crisis and all that kind of stuff. But there is always that choice to potentially improve your situation just a little bit, you know? It's not like everyone, like, people are encouraged to just, like, quit their jobs willy-nilly today and, like, that's it, like, live and let live. You're going to have to fucking work for it. Shocker. But, it's about recognizing where that comfort zone is and then, like, pushing yourself out of it. Yeah.
It's you know, again, we define success as, you know, how many pieces of paper you have, which is money, you know, a currency. That's how we built our society, you know. Yeah. And people become fixated on it, that they spend their whole lives chasing money, trying to get money, not having enough money. You know, it's like money. And then sometimes, unfortunately, it gets to, you know, they're 85 and they realize the most important thing was their family, having fun, you know, making... Now, again, it's very easy to say that and it sounds lovely, but the reality is, yes, we do need the money. That's the society we had. But if you can just find a way of making the money and not compromising your values and finding a way or finding something that you're passionate about and making money through that's the key to life, and not being a worker and miserable and being, you know, controlled. Because without getting like too conspiracy theories, like that is what the society and government want. They want worker ants. They want to put you in your place and all that. If they didn't, then why in schools and all, why don't they teach you about how to get a mortgage? Why don't they teach you how to be an entrepreneur? You know, it's so repressed, and it's there for a reason, because they want you in your box, paying your taxes, obeying the law, bringing money back to the country. Like
that's why it's so expensive to run a small business. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so hard to get things up and running and doing, like, the fucking hurdles that you have to go through. Yeah. Even, like, I've heard of people that even just have a little, like, e-commerce shop, you know, like T-shirts. It's like, lads, it's just T-shirts. Let them be. Yeah. You know? Yeah, and that's very true, because, like, a prime example of that is during the recession. And, you know, I had 2 tattoo shops at the time, and during the recession, everybody was struggling. But the retail parks, they made them all exempt from paying rates during the recession, whereas the small businesses, they were hounding like for money. They wanted more money, but yet the big conglomerate millionaire companies were exempt from it. So there you go. That was just prime example. Like, they really don't want. This is true. They really don't want small businesses. They want the big conglomerates that are bringing the millions in. As if they never started small as well. Yeah, you know, like obviously there are those one-off chances, but like if Amazon were to come here, you know, very different story. Amazon 20 years ago, you know, just Jeff Bezos by himself fucking selling books. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, I know it sounds conspiracy theory, but it is.
I don't think it's conspiracy theory. Like, I think to tap into conspiracy theory, we're going to have to talk about aliens dancing. Yeah, dancing, you know? Which I would love to have like a conversation about. But no, as in these topics are not spoken about, or when they are, they're always entertained in a very like different way, where it's like these people are the enemy, they want us to be puppets and all that kind of shit. And it's like they're there for a reason. It's just, why are we not progressing? Why are we not doing certain things? Especially because the society that we're like in 2023, the model is not benefiting us. It's not working, because the way they created it was for factory workers.
Yeah, yeah.
And it worked at the time. But like, lo and behold, factory workers are being replaced. Factories are being shut down. Why are we not having these proper conversations where we can expand what we learned on a little bit and fucking move forward and improve?
Yeah.
And it's not just for Ireland. I think like from what we're exposed to in the West in general, it's really unfortunate that certain things are just not revisited because they benefited the select few.
Yeah, it's the rich get rich and the poor
Exactly.
get poor, you know.
Exactly.
It's
And it's just like, it's you. I feel like they don't know how bad it's gonna get,
yeah.
because people are getting so angry. They're so angry. Like, we've seen even like the Ireland is full and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
you know, like they're fucking setting people's homes on fire, man. And this is them saying we're angry at the government, yet this is what they're doing, you know, because people are turning onto each other, or they're punching down.
Yeah.
They're not punching up anymore.
No.
And that's the
yeah.
scary thing.
It's creating massive divides, and yeah, there's so much of that. And again, you know, social media is fueling that big time, playing each other off, and but then there's distraction tactics that, you know, the media use, and the media is all controlled by the government, and you know, like they have to clear stuff with them to say, yeah, you can say this, you know, you can't say that, and you know, there's all this stuff that we will never know about. It's all behind closed doors. We'll never know about. So when you get it back to the perspective of your own life, it's kind of making sure that you're aware of the structural society that has been set up for you, and not being afraid to break out from the mold of it, if that's what makes you happy. Look, there's I said this before as well, there's lots of people that love the 9 to 5 structure. They work Monday to Friday, get their paycheck, they know they have their weekends off, and they're fine with that. I know loads of people like that. For me, it's my worst nightmare. Like I couldn't do it, but everybody is different, and I'm not saying anything negatively about it, but it's just to be aware of it, and that, you know, not to define your life by it, that when, you know, you get to a certain age and you look back and you're like, why did I live my life like that? You know, because that's what they told me, if I lived my life like that, I was going to be safe. And you know, my dad got screwed out of his pension after working 43 years for a company. He gave us 43 years. My uncle was a fireman, same thing. He was promised you know, a certain pension, and same with my dad, and then the recession came and those companies went under and there was no protection, and you know, so it's 43 years staying in the lines, working their asses off, and then they're told fuck you, you know. So there's no guarantees in life, I know that anyway, but it's just you know, don't live your life to make a company rich off the compromise of your own mental health. That's
it. The issue with the 9 to 5 for certain people is when that 9 to 5 becomes 8 to 10 p.m. Monday to Friday, or when that 9 to 5 is just like, I come back home and I do nothing, you know.
Well, there's a great documentary, I can't think of the name of it, but it's a brilliant documentary, and basically even the marketing behind, you know, Amazon and all these big companies, people who work 9 to 5, that they market at a certain time, that on a Friday evening they will market certain stuff depending on their algorithms, because they feel like if they treat themselves to that watch over the weekend, then the misery that they're after facing for those 5 days in work is worth it, because they've got their paycheck, they're making money, I'm going to buy this, it's going to make me really happy, and then Monday morning what happens? They're fucking miserable again. And then they wait until Friday again, okay, what am I going to buy myself to cheer myself up? this week, and they live their life like that. So products become a replacement for happiness. You know, it's like a
Literally.
vicious cycle. But whatever that documentary was, it was
100%.
the psychology of the marketers and what they do and how they follow you around, and they know your working hours and all that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's scary, you know.
Oh, I completely believe that. And also, like, that's an interesting realization as well, where through pursuing my passion, I assume as well with yours, it's like you also learn the way people think. Like, the moment that you take a step back, you go, it's simpler than, like, it's quite simple, you know? Like, our brains are like, we're very simple people.
Yeah.
And that, when that happened, I was like, shit, man, like, why am I overcomplicating certain things so much? It's like, it's not that deep. It's not life or death.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not.
No, I think it's true. I think we're overwhelmed and bombarded by so much
Yeah.
crap, you know, and
choices.
choices and stuff just rammed through your throat, and it's so hard to get away from it, you know. So if you can find an escape,
Yeah.
and that's like for me, you know, movies are my escape, and
Yeah.
and acting, and like that's my escape. So that's my happy
Yeah.
place. But yeah, if you can take a moment, whether that's meditation or just getting out to a field and sitting in a fucking field for
Yeah.
half an hour and reading a book, you know,
Uh-huh.
it's like some people just feel so trapped that they can't do it, and they put limitations on themselves that aren't actually there, you know. And I know so many people like that, and sometimes you'll say it to them and go, you know, they'll be so stressed about something and all that, and I would say, listen, man, why don't you? There's a lake down there by your house. Just go down, just sit
Yeah.
with your own thoughts, and I can't do that. I'm too busy.
Yeah,
busy.
like,
you know?
people
And it's
can't
like,
be alone.
yeah, can't be alone with your
yeah.
own thoughts. Or, yeah.
Where, like, did anything help you in particular? Was it meditation? Was it just going out in nature? Or
Definitely not meditation. It's weird. Meditation stresses me out, I think, because like I know it's the opposite of what's meant to happen, because I'm so anxious. And we, in a lot of the acting classes and that, they do a lot of that
Yeah.
stuff, and it drives me crazy. Like my heart starts like pounding,
Yeah.
and I'm meant to be
I hate it
concentrating
when
on my-
people ask me to close my eyes in public. I'm like, no, I'm not.
Yeah. Like it's a danger,
fuck you,
a danger
no.
thing, you know. No, but I mean, like, you know, drumming was always like my, you know, music, just listening to music, and you know, I try to go to the gym every day, and then like movies, you know, still obsessed with movies, and reading. I love driving, and yeah, so this.
It's like the quiet in action, really, like repetitive action.
Yeah. I like being alone. I'm really antisocial, like really. Like I'm happy. I'm one of those people that like I'm not. It doesn't bother me if I'm alone.
I'm like, do you want to go for a pint? And I'm like, no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm terrible like that. You know,
Yeah,
like,
I'm
unless I'm
bad.
playing a gig with my band or something, I just avoid people as much as I can. I love animals. But yeah, like I sometimes it worries me how comfortable I am being alone.
Oh, that
you
used
know?
to scare me so much. I'm like, what
Yeah.
the fuck is wrong with me?
And I need to be alone as well. If I'm constantly surrounded by people, I can't deal with it. Like I need to just fuck off. But I'm that person that if we are like in a pub on a night out, I am that horrible person. I'll just disappear. I won't say goodbye to anyone. I just go. Some of it's social anxiety, and some of it's just like if I decide to go, I'll just fucking go. Like, I know it's really rude, but
No,
I'm
no,
just
no.
like
Completely same. Like for me, it's like if I'm in a bad mood, like not even bad mood, but like I don't need to be here anymore.
Yeah.
You know, don't tell me stay and all that shit, or else I'll tell you to fuck off.
Yeah,
You know,
it's funny, yeah, because I'd be like, sometimes I'd be there, I'd be halfway through, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? I don't want to be here. I want to be at home on my couch. You know?
Speaking of which,
yeah.
like,
Just
fuck
walk
off.
out.
Yeah, exactly. Like I walk out of my own podcast. It's fucking gas. But yeah, no, I completely agree. I just fucking. Sometimes you just don't want to be with people.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, you know, we are a pack herd mentality, and we, you know, we are drawn to being around people. But yeah, I think it's like a safety net for a lot of people, and you know, I said about needy people, but I have friends that are so needy that they can't be alone. They have to be like, I remember when I lived in Dublin, I lived with one friend in particular, and Jesus Christ, like
Yeah.
even just to go to bed was a struggle. He'd be like, no, stay up, stay with me. Oh, will you come to the shop with me? Like he couldn't
Oh,
do anything on his
no.
own. I was like, oh, get away from
Where
me.
are you based now?
I live in Blackrock in Dundalk.
Oh, nice.
So it's out by the sea, and
Oh,
yeah.
Dundalk is lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous one.
Yeah, so it's
That's
nice.
nice.
It's nice out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I always said that like if I do stay in Ireland, it has to be the East Coast. Like, I need to be
Oh,
on
really?
the side where shit
No,
is
go with the
happening.
West Coast.
Oh man, I went to fucking I lived in
Yeah.
Galway girl over there. I lived in Galway for 2 years, and like I didn't enjoy it too much, but I think it's also like the time in my life and stuff.
Okay.
I heard good things about Cork,
I love
obviously,
Cork.
West
I love
Cork.
Cork, Galway,
But like
Mayo,
there's something
yeah.
about being, I'm not saying about being in Dublin, but like everything happens here. And it's like, considering that I left a fucking piece of like sand in the middle of the Mediterranean, you know, for something good to happen, I feel like I'm shooting myself in the foot by leaving everything that happens here. Like, I'd need to be on the East Coast. I need the sea.
Okay.
I
yeah.
need it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what's she gonna do in Cork?
What I can do in Cork? I've actually done my last 3 films in Cork. I'll have
Did
you know.
ya? Did you do
Yeah.
Dublin Crust in Cork as
I
well?
didn't. No. But yeah, I mean, the East Coast has some nice places, and you know, up where I live, like Carlingford and Ravensdale and places like that, with mountains are all lovely. But I do like being out by the sea, and I love surfing. You know, we go to Bundoran quite a bit for surfing and stuff like that. But you know, even you talking about the need to be here, you know, it's like
Yeah.
the fear of missing out, and
Yeah.
you know, like stuff like that. So I understand that, and I lived in Dublin for 6 years, you know, and I'm only like an hour and a half drive
Yeah, exactly.
from Dublin, which is fine. But I would never live in Dublin again, like Dublin City. I couldn't handle it. You know?
When was it like, you know what, I've had enough of this?
Yeah, it was like, so basically I worked in a Pearson Shop and Temple bar for like 5 years, and then that went under. It was like an English company owned it, and then I set up my own first shop in a tattoo shop here, and that shop was wild. Like I knew the guys for a long time, and they set up their own shop, and oh my god, there was guns coming through the shop, there was drugs, there was it was crazy, like
The owners themselves are like
it was crazy, and I was living in a shit apartment. It was horrible, and going into work every day was constantly in fights with just like fucking scumbags, and you'd be waiting for the comments and all that kind of stuff. But like I was miserable, and I was stressed. I didn't realize how stressed I was, and without getting like too like airy fairy about it, whatever, but because I was stressed, one of my friends recommended, you know, reading that book The Secret.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've read it. So just manifestation kind of stuff, you know. Now I'm not that kind of person, and I was very reluctant, and I was like, what? But I was like, fuck it, I'll just read it, you know.
I'm desperate.
So yeah, so I read it, but I was doing the mantra thing where you pick 3 things you want to change about your life and all that. So I just said, fuck it, like I'll do it. And I spent the 2 weeks in the mirror every morning, you know, saying the 3 things. And it was basically that I wanted to be in a different shop. I wanted a new car because my car was fucking acting up. And I didn't want to live in Dublin anymore, right? Okay. And then I was doing that, whatever. And then just didn't think anything of it, completely forgot, whatever. And then life just over the next couple of weeks, just things transpired. But I did make the decision to get out of that shop and get the fuck out of Dublin. And I went back home to the parents for a while, and then I got an apartment in Drogheda, and it was like I was in the apartment for a few weeks. Sorry, this is like a long story, but it was just one morning I just woke up, and I was in the mirror, and I was like, the 3 things, like the moving from Dublin, I'd just gotten a new car, and I just opened.
I thought you were going to say that
shop.
you won the lotto for a fucking car or something. I was like, what the fuck,
it
man?
wasn't, not that kind
Watch
of story.
me in the
you know?
mirror.
Yeah. So whether you put it down to the manifestation, or just, you know, I made it subconsciously happen.
I think it's more
you know,
just like setting
yourself, you know, the goals. But I was just like, oh fuck, because without realizing it, I was like, oh, those 3 things I've completely, in 4 weeks, I completely like turned my whole life around, and I was way happier.
That's so cool,
you know? So,
exactly.
Sorry, that was a long-winded answer.
Yeah, no, I love that shit. I love long-winded everything. But it's so true. It's like a lot of the times, like when we are in that rut, it's like we're just like blindly shooting stuff.
Yeah.
And the moment that like you do sit down with yourself, whether it is these mantras or journaling or even just like thinking about it, it's like your eyes are a little bit open. Like you can aim a little bit better. It's not always going to get like, you're not always going to hit the target.
Yeah.
But fuck me, man, you're looking at something, you know? A lot of the times it's like, we do have that blindfold and we're just like fucking walking around in the dark, you know?
Yeah.
Now, let's talk a little bit about Dublin Crust after the fact that like you bought yourself a car rather than like winning it. I was so
disappointed.
excited. I was so disappointed with that. Like if you watch it back, I don't know if I was like in the screen, but like you could see a little smirk on my. I'm like, keep going, tell me about it. So is there much you can talk about Dublin Crust, or like what's the crack?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm excited to watch it.
Good. Yeah, so like, I mean, Dublin Crust is like my debut feature film that I made. And I'd done like 6 shorts before that. And again, even when I was acting and stuff like that, never thought that I would get into the filmmaking side of it. And it was when I went back to Bow Street Acting Academy. I think I was talking to you about this already. And they were encouraging you to write your own stuff. And I'd already written a book, and I put the book out and then started writing scenes for classmates and myself. And through that, then I wrote like my first short film, and even at that stage I was like, you know, can I actually do this? And you know, was having to fight with yourself, you know, can I actually go and make a film, you know? Syndrome, so I went out and learned a lot on my first one, and you know, went from there. And then basically with Dublin Crust, it started out as a short film, and I entered it into the Actor as Creator scheme that's Screen Ireland and Bow Street, and it got rejected. And I was just like, kind of throwing my toys out of the pram, being like, fuck this. And I wasn't going to make it. And then it was my wife that was like, because it's about a punk band and based loosely on a band that I was with for 8 years, she was like, no, like, this is your story. Like, this is, you have to make this your feature film, because it is your life, and you know, they write about what you know and stuff like that. So I went back and rewrote it. So the short script is very different than the feature film, and just kind of started on the road to it. And I knew it was going to be a long road. And
how long has it been?
How long has it been? So it's actually, we shot it March last year.
Wow.
But there was a year pre-production before that, as regards getting everything sorted. But yeah, then the script like got selected for the Dublin International Screenplay Competition, and part of that prize was getting to pitch to 5 of the big production companies. And 3 of them came back and were really interested, but the 3 of them said, you can't make it for under $1 million. And I was like, cool, are you going to give me $1 million then? And they were like, no, you need to go get the funding, and then we'll, you know, come behind you. So then we tried every avenue, you know, we applied for funding, and I called in every contact over the last 20 years, you know, trying to raise the money. And so we ended up doing it very independently, and we really went outside the box with how we raised the money and all the kind of stuff we did. But what's crazy then, the production company now, the distribution company, I should say, that's come on board. When we had the first meeting with them and they were like, we love it, we'd love to come on board, we're going to do a full cinema release. They were like, but we would like an executive producer to come on board. And they were like, if you have somebody you want to work with, happy days, but it's like, we can recommend people that we've worked with before that we love. And completely coincidentally, the guy that they recommended was the guy from that 5 pitches that I gave that was the most interested, that I was back and forward about Dublin Crust. Now, they didn't know that, and he said his name, and I was like, oh, no way. I pitched to him, and we talked about it, and they were like, oh, brilliant. So the minute they contacted him, he was just like, oh, my God, I can't believe you've made it. Yeah. And we had a meeting then with him there. And in these meetings, you know, they're always going to be enthusiastic about the film and all that, but, like, he genuinely loved it. Like, he was quoting stuff back from it, and, you know, he was so passionate about it. So it was great to see, and such a coincidence that he was the same guy that I pitched to, you know. But yeah, it's been a long road. Learned a lot. It's been
a long road, I can imagine, huh? And it's so, I think it's just one of those things where, like, the moment that this is your work, like, you wrote something that you know, there's a little bit of a personal connection to it, where I don't know if you felt that way, but, like, did you feel like you had to defend certain aspects to the piece of work because you're like, no, but, like, this is how it really is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff in that film that if I told you it was based on fact, you'd be like, fuck off. Like, but it is, you know. So a lot of the stuff that's in there, the stories and all that, are stuff that actually happened. And then my problem, like, I'm so visual in life in general. And, you know, I can write, but I've had people who read the script and then saw the film and they were like, I never would have got that from the script to what the film was. But see, that's part of my problem, because I know visually exactly who's going to play it, how it's going to be, how this scene's going to transpire, what way it's going to be. So I'm really like visual like that. And I'm not confident about much in life, but I'm really confident about visual when I know.
Yeah, like, this is how it's going to be. And
this is how
like,
it's gonna be,
when I'll be there, I'll explain it.
Exactly.
You know?
That's it. But that's not now a positive thing when you're trying to pitch the script, you know. And the script is fine, you know, but if you read it, I'd be reading it going, oh yeah, if I was reading it and I didn't know what was in my brain, I'd be like, it's just kind of reading flat. But anyway, yeah, there was stuff in there, but I suppose one of the compromises a lot of independent filmmakers have to make is, if there's money men behind it, you have to answer to them. Whereas we didn't. So we didn't have to answer to anybody. And in that case, I went and made the film I wanted to make. Now, with these meetings, there has been suggestions made of stuff, and I have to be very open to that, because it's a business, you know. I will pick my battles, and if I feel something is worth fighting for, I will, but I will also take their opinions on board. Like, there's one major change with the film that has been suggested, and when they first said it, it's like they slapped me in the face. I was like, how dare you say that about my baby? But then when I looked back, you know, like, on neutral, I was like, I completely understand why they are saying that, you know. So it's these kind of things. You have to be open as a filmmaker. There's a lot to be said about, you know, having director's cut. Robert Eggers, one of my favorite directors, on Northman, he lost director's cut on this, whereas he had it on The Witch and he had it on The Lighthouse, and he didn't have it on this. And he said he doesn't care. He will never make another movie again if he doesn't have director's cut, if he doesn't have the final say. He's like, I'm done. I don't care. I'll walk away. I don't care about money, nothing. So for me, that's impressive, like, to have that integrity, because they completely changed the ending. Well, first of all, he wanted it in Norse. He wanted the whole film not in English. He wanted it subtitled, because he's so accurate with his production values. So, you know, in The Lighthouse, everything is so accurate. The Witch, everything's so accurate. So it killed him, like, to make these compromises, and they changed the ending of the film. And he fought. He actually said he had screaming matches, but he lost it. So these are the kind of things, you know, you have to make a decision. But then at the end of the day, I know a lot of filmmakers are really stubborn and they won't change anything. But then there's no point in having that integrity if nobody sees the fucking film, because they're just like, well, see you later, buddy.
And it's also collaboration. You know, that's the thing. It's like, there's like, obviously you were bringing people on and all that kind of stuff, but like, what's the fun in it if you're doing it by yourself, and like, if you're not fun to work with?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
You know?
And I mean, you know, movies and everything is a collaboration. And it's great when you get to work with a director that's open to collaborations, and sometimes you get them and there's no, this is it, you know, my words are gospel, you have to say them like this. It's slightly different when you get to the business side of the film, but at the same time, if somebody like these distributors have a track record of, you know, blowing films up, then of course I'm going to respect and listen to their opinion.
Let me learn. Exactly.
They're not just saying it, just, you know,
but willy-nilly, just to like put you in your place, like, it's not all personal.
And in the meeting, actually, one of the things he said, he was like, oh, it's so refreshing to talk to a director that's he actually said this word, that's not shouting at us. And I was like, what? And he was like, because the suggestions he was making and stuff, like, he was like, oh, normally, like, they'd be like, how fucking dare you say this? And I was like, no, like, I'm gonna listen to you. It doesn't mean I've said yes yet, but you know, like, no, say it no. yeah. I'll say it in a nice way.
I'll say no in a nice way. Yeah, that's completely fair, and it's so interesting. I think also, like, just to touch on, that's the last compliment I'm gonna feed you. And the only one.
The only one, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been complimenting you much. I'm sorry.
I get awkward
I'll
compliments.
kiss your
Okay.
arse. So, yeah, it's true. Yeah. So, I'm so bad at complimenting people. It's really like shit. Like, the amount of times that people go like, oh, you know, like I'm 40. And I go, all right, cool, you know. And you see their face slightly like go down, like,
oh, you look so
like
young.
you're supposed to say you look so. Someone once told me that they were like in their mid-30s, and I just carried on. And she went, I know I look young. And I was like, I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Because you don't.
You don't, yeah. Yeah,
Anyway.
somebody asked me that. I always go the opposite. I'd be like, yeah, 70. And they're like, what?
Like, fucking
Just make a joke out of
yeah,
it.
man. Like, I don't do sweet talk whatsoever, or small talk. You like share a lot of your knowledge with people as well. Like that's what I've seen on like your Instagram and whatnot. It's like a lot of people tag you in like, thanks Baz for this help, like thanks for that. And I think that's quite an interesting characteristic to have
Yeah.
when it comes to just doing things in the creative industry, because a lot of people go like, all right, I've been fucked over so many times, I'm going to go alone, you know? When in reality, the more that, I don't know, you can attest to this, but has sharing this knowledge helped you in the long run?
Yeah, definitely. And like, you know, I always feel like I have imposter syndrome, you know, like, why am I in a position to be offering any advice? And you know, like I teach an acting course. It's called Direction. And it's the same perception. I'm like, I'm teaching these people, like, what gives me the right to teach these people? But it's just, you know, trying to correct any mistakes that I would have made. And, you know, it's very practical, and this is the way the industry is. So I'm very knowledgeable about how the industry works. And I'm very knowledgeable of what you need to do to make it work and stuff like that. And then at the same time, I'm like, I'm teaching them and preaching to them, and I can't even book a fucking job. You know, it's like, I'm like, you know, so it's the imposter syndrome. But like, I do like helping people wherever I can, and I'm very like generous with my time. If I feel like people are genuine and have a passion, and it goes back to, you know, teaching the martial arts, or I used to teach drums and all that. Like it's weird because like I have no patience in my real life. I have the worst patience and ADHD and all that. But when I'm teaching somebody, I have all the patience in the world, and I never get frustrated with them. And, you know, if they're willing to learn. Now, I am the type of person that you get one chance with me. If you fuck me over or you're there for a different reason and all that, I will not entertain you again. And I'm a Scorpio. I'm really like, I will cut you out. It's scary how easy I can cut people out in my life.
Oh, yeah, same. I basically, like, I'm you.
Yeah.
You know?
Twinsies.
Like, I literally I am the coldest bitch ever.
Yeah.
Fuck me over. I'm stepping over your dead body.
Yeah.
Mate. Like, literally.
I'm ridiculous. Like, and it's so scary how I can just like, see you later.
I don't care.
Yeah. Hope you're listening over there.
So stubborn.
Oh. That's me.
I don't like it. It's more just like it's a bullshit tolerance thing, but it's also a respect thing. It's like I give people all the respect in the world, you know, that like I can give them. Don't push me.
Yeah.
Like, don't push me. And it's not even like don't piss me off, but it's like, what are the reasons here? Because I do think that I'm not that type of person where like you can't talk to me or you can't say anything. I do think that I am a very good listener, but cut the bullshit, you know, like take it elsewhere.
Yeah.
And the moment that like, I think when a lot of people feel like they are entitled to someone's time, that's where I literally just like, I tell people I'm blocking them. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, like the moment that they disrespect them, I'm like, by the way, this is the last time you're going to fucking hear. Like, out.
I'm the same, yeah.
Fucking
and like, I think
virus, that's what they are.
Yeah, some people mistake being nice with being weak, you know, and I have a switch. Like, I will be nice, and it's funny now though, like in these times, if my like old school friends hear somebody and they're like, oh, Baz is so lovely, but they know me from like back in the day, and like, no, he's not. You know, he's like, I've definitely a Jekyll and Hyde. You know, I like, if I lose my temper, like, just fucking get out of the way, like, you know. But it's the same thing with time, and I'll give all my time, but to a certain point, you know, because with a lot of people, you give them an inch, they take a mile, you know, and you have to balance that, and you have to balance your energy as well. because there's only so much you can take on, and I try to give back as much as I can. But it really does come from a place of, I hate all this, especially in this industry, like the bitchiness and, you know, this is our group and your group and we hate them and all this kind of shit. You're not saving lives here, lads. It's the arts. It's meant to be fun. I can never understand people showing up on set with all this drama and
crabs in a bucket, man. It's like like,
literally.
I'm down, you come down with me.
Yeah,
you know. And then there's that fucking dumbass that actually does go down with them, and you're like, mate.
Yeah, that's it. And there's always people looking to drag you down to their level. That's a real Irish thing as well. Like, but yeah, giving back and teaching and like I love it, you know, and I love directing and you know, I'd like to think I'm really open as a director, but at the same time, I'm very confident in what I know I need it to be, you know. And there's certain ways of talking to actors, and the great thing about being an actor director is I know how to talk to actors, because I've worked with so many directors who are not actor directors, and actors are on the brink of their emotions crumbling, and it just takes one word and any bit of self-confidence is out the window, you know. And you do the whole reverse psychology, whereas if they do a take and it's not quite what you want, it'd be like, cool, we have that was brilliant, now let's try this. And that's really really what you want, instead of going, that was shit, this is the way it needs to be done, you know.
Trying to say a line with like fighting back tears.
Crumbling. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
Why did the chicken cross the road?
I've had it happen to me on a big network show, you know, a scary American shouty director, not an actor's director, and it is because you're already so fucking anxious and nervous, you know, and it's really tough.
It doesn't help.
It doesn't help at all.
No.
And yeah, there's a certain way of just like, you know, but I do work well with the actors, because I know what it feels like, you know.
Exactly.
We do get it. But it is a collaboration, you know. So
it is. Yeah. I think it's like the moment that you find a good group of people. I think that's also a massive thing, is finding the passionate ones, the ones that have the heart, the ones that understand that you're going to have to do certain things that go above and beyond, you know, in order to get to like the vision that you have in mind, but also a little bit of cop on, a little bit of common sense, you know. You need the 9s and the 10s. Yeah,
and like I'm a really good judge of character. I'd like to think I am anyway. I have a really good intuition about people, normally in a couple of seconds, and I'm normally never wrong. It's just, I don't know, I've always been like that. But I have to say, like, I have been shocked by some of the people that I have worked with, like, and brought into my own productions, and you know, because we're so passionate and we really do want to like build and take people along with us. If you look at any of our productions, you see the same people coming along with us, and that's the whole fucking point of our production company, you know, and working with people. But I have been shocked along the way at some people's mentality, and you know, hearing stuff back after productions, because everybody hears everything on the set and everything is said back to you, and you might be so busy that you're in the production and all that, but you know, people moaning and, like you said, common sense and cop on, and it frustrates the hell out of me, because I am so passionate and I would do anything, you know, to make this happen, and then people are being given an opportunity and all they can do is moan and bitch and bring drama, and they're not there for the bigger picture, you know. It's really, really frustrating when that happens, you know. But the thing is, I will never work with them again, and they will be scratching their heads as to why, because I could easily approach them and say it to them, but then I look at it like, why would I give them that lesson so they now know to go and be a better person? Like, you've already fucked me up. Why would I give you a tool to better yourself? You're done.
I am you.
That's it. You're done. You know,
it's so true. And it's like, I'm not gonna be the one to tell you that, because also I don't know where, I don't trust where you'll take it. I don't know how you'll run with it. What are you gonna do? Screenshot it? Like, I spread the word. Debbie said this. But in reality, Debbie said that.
You'll be the asshole. No matter what. You know,
exactly. So.
But that's the way I do genuinely look at it. Like, and it's funny because you know, I've just completed a new script and I've had some of those people, oh, you've just done a new script. It's written for me. And I just laugh. I'm like, you've no idea. I heard everything you were saying back. I'll never work with you again, you know? And that's the industry as a whole, especially in Ireland. Like, the industry is so small. Everybody knows everybody. I can't tell you the amount of directors I've had contacting me going, we've shortlisted these actors. I know you worked with these. What do you think? I'd be like, yeah, no. That's how easy it is. And then they're wondering why they're not getting hired. And vice versa. I've done it. You know, how'd you get on with them? Don't go near them. And I will take because I respect their decision, you know. So if you're an asshole on one set, you're an asshole on them all, and you're in the wrong business. Like I said, why would you not bring your A game to whatever it is, you know? Not
just A game, but also just be sound, man.
Just be sound. Like, it's not that hard.
It's really not that hard to be sound.
Hard. And then when we're dealing with, like, and I'm not, it sounds really negative and all that, but when we're dealing with, you know, people texting you, and this sounds a bit pretentious, the director, on the day of filming, you're filming and you're getting text messages and they're asking you what socks they should wear. It's just like, and then I realised that when I'm on a production and all that, I realised, like, what a joy I am to work with, because I would never bother them. I make my own way there. I don't ask them what bus I need to get. I fucking show up. I know my lines. I don't complain. I go home. I do my job, which is the way it should be. But then when you see all these people that bring all this shit with them, you're just like, oh my God, why would I want to work with you again?
And the issue is that usually, not you or me, but like, it's this type of person that overthinks and beats themselves up, when in reality it should be these guys that are beating themselves up about certain things, you know? It's just the way it is, man.
It's just the way it is, you know. And it's you know, one of the elements we teach on the course is, you know, all these things of, because some people are just oblivious. They just don't realise, you know. And it's like, you know, don't be causing extra work for them.
Facts. Or else, like, expect an invoice. Like, that's a running joke that I have, like, with people now. It's like, the moment that you're pushing me, it's like, do you want an invoice from me? Like, that's the next thing. Deb, what type of socks? Fuck you, 50 euros. Wasted my time. I saw this doctor recently, because, like, this is the last one and then we'll end this. I was looking at doctors that diagnose ADHD, right? Now, all of them in Dublin are fully booked, except for this one lad. This one lad charges 30 euros for you to send him an email. No reply is fucking guaranteed. I'm like, all right.
Good business model.
You imagine?
Yeah.
30 euros.
Fair play to him.
30 euros for me to email him with no response.
Wow. That guy's got it sussed.
He has it sussed, but fuck you.
That's crazy. Yeah, because I went looking in last year, you know, for a diagnosis or something. It was like $4,500 or something to do the 2-day test. I was like, do you know what? I'll be okay.
Like, you know what? That's something, because, like, I do go back and forth with it a little bit. And I go, like, do I want to be on the medication?
Yeah, same. Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think so. Yeah. All I want is that validation, but maybe I should work on that own validation for myself.
I'm the exact same, because even if I got the diagnosis, I don't think I would take the medication.
Yeah.
I don't
unless I want an all-nighter, you know.
Yeah, get some work done.
But, like, we can go somewhere else for that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and it's, you know, ADHD, I know there's different spectrums of it and stuff like that, but it's like, is it bad having a creative brain that's busy and, you know, getting shit done?
Yeah. No, like, I create beautiful shit, you know, like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Baz. I really enjoyed this.
It was a pleasure.
Cheers. Thank you. And thank you everyone for watching and listening. Bye bye. How long was that? Oh my God.
Yeah.